Lenwo Mwetkoshrai. Remember the time Ralphie blew up Chernobyl?
You're full of beans and so's your old man. Oh, yeah. Yeah!
Yeah, not really, but hear me out. On April 26, 1986, reactor number 4 at the Chernobyl nuclear power plant exploded. You probably heard of it, but what you may not realize is that the real cause of the explosion is still a threat to all of us today, right here in America. Not the reactor, the mindset. And believe it or not, Ralphie kind of warned us about it. If you haven't watched the 2019 HBO miniseries Chernobyl, go watch it. Yes, it's technical and has science, but it's really about something deeper. It's about a political system that demanded perfection and punished honesty. The big boss at Chernobyl insisted on doing a stress test before the reactor was ready. He was on a timeline that he was unwilling to alter. 0% chance of failure. His ego and political status was more important than the dangers of a nuclear explosion. No way in hell is a snot-nosed reactor engineer going to tell him any different. Boom. The Soviet political system demanded perfection. Absolute loyalty to party leaders. In America, we called it McCarthyism. But in the Soviet Union, I think the policy was called loyalty or lead. He knew this and had risen to his position by telling the bosses exactly what they wanted to hear, not the truth. In fact, he was so enmeshed in the system that he also demanded the same from his subordinates. Facts be damned. When it comes to controlling the elemental particles of the universe, they don't give a damn about your ego or political ambitions. And those subatomic particles bit him in the ass. It's easy and fun to bash those damn commies, but this social structure is a strong element in every society. It's standard tribalism. It's alive and well in every system we live and work in today.
Either you are with us, or you are with the terrorists.
So flashback to 2011. No shit, there I was, deep in my Afghanistan deployment with 4th Brigade 10th Mountain Division. I was a young captain serving as the S2, the intelligence officer for 450-man cavalry squadron in Wardak province. It was the height of the Obama surge in Afghanistan, with troop levels topping 100,000. General McChrystal was fired right before we arrived in October 2010, so I was there under General Petraeus' command. He was scheduled to tour our battle space, so we spent a week fine-tuning briefs for El Jefe. For days, I worked with the S3 operations officer and squadron commander to tweak slides. The intelligence officer is supposed to present the enemy's situation. Then the S3 operations officer lays out the strategy and operations to counter the enemy. Yeah! During the rehearsals, my portrayal of the battle space did not align with the message they needed to portray to the general. So I was cut from the brief. I'm not complaining. This is not a dig on the S3 or squadron commander. Both were great guys. The commander's retired now. I was actually in touch with him a few weeks ago. The S3, one of the most competent officers I ever knew. He was a major at the time, and he's been fast-tracking. He's a brigadier general now, and I'm sure he's going to add several more stars to his chest before he's done. I was cut for several reasons. Truth is, I'm just not a very strong briefer.
Fact.
Even now, I tend to fumble over things, but now I get to edit.
Bears beats Battlestar Galactica.
At the time, I was kind of a young guy who lacked confidence. I was never really a good fit for the Army anyways, but I tried. One of the reasons I believe I was cut was that I wanted to portray an outlook on the enemy situation that seemed accurate to me. But that painted a picture of a battle space that we really didn't control in any real way. This was not unique to our battle space. The fact is that even at the height of the surge, coalition forces never controlled shit. The Taliban/shadow government was in control the entire 20-year war in most parts of Afghanistan. But you can't tell the boss we're not in control. We're the U.S. Army, for Christ's sake. True or not, you can't say it.
Shut up! We don't have a yellow bastard sitting here crying. Shut up!
Today's leadership techniques are a little more subtle, but the message of shut up and get in line is still present. In the end, Petraeus seemed fine with the brief. For him, just another Tuesday in Afghanistan. After the brief, we all went to the chow hall. I sat with 2 of Petraeus' civilian intelligence analysts and asked if they knew that we were just blowing smoke up his ass. It was important to me that he knew the reality of the situation. In hindsight, I'm sure that he already knew. They gave me that reassurance, and it put me at ease a bit. General Petraeus, my squadron commander, the S3, they were not naive. Like I said, they were all incredibly intelligent leaders who obviously had more successful careers than I did. To this day, I ask myself why I struggle so much to let go of the bigger questions. What the hell are we even doing here? Is success achievable if the Afghans don't want us here? They understood better than I how to deal with the reality at hand, with a little more nuance and social finesse for the boss. In retrospect, my naivety stemmed from a belief that if Petraeus understood how little control we actually had, it would help him with higher-level strategic decisions. The reality? Petraeus was just another soldier like the rest of us. He was sent to win a war, not to bait it. Highlighting Taliban influence simply looks weak. For me, it often feels like seemingly intelligent, competent leaders dance around these core issues simply so that they can present the situation as being in good hands.
Are you still talking about Jeffrey Epstein?
A fun movie that accurately portrays these observations from my 11-year Army career is The War Machine with Brad Pitt. It's a comedy, but it shows the mindset. A world of enormous, ego-driven alpha males all trying to prove that they're better than their predecessors. Every new commander comes in with their 90-day campaign plan on how they're going to fix the battle space.
75 years later.
The militants took control of Kabul yesterday. Afghans are thronging to Kabul's airport, desperate to get on planes and leave the country at any cost.
Now, fast forward to 2016-2017. I'm the Kyrgyzstan desk officer working for the 4-star CENTCOM commander who is over the entire Middle East and Central Asia. My boss would forward our team, the 4-stars, weekly classified emails to the Secretary of Defense and the President. At first it was Obama, then Trump in 2017. I saw the same themes, same dance routine. Shit was still not going well in the Middle East.
Wow, who'd have thunk it?
But the weekly emails would lay out the most awesome plans that made you think we had it all tied up with a nice little bow. We got this, boss. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm all about
Peace, love, dope!
but I've seen the world, and I've got no problem eliminating sociopathic assholes who are just out there causing pain and suffering. But nobody seems to want to discuss the core human issues that plague the region. They don't want to change, and you can't make them. So where does this demand for us to present perfection come from? Ego? Self-reinforcing social structures? Both? We've all experienced it. Hell, we've all perpetuated it. In 2018, I was working for a truck brokerage firm that has since gone the way of the dodo, Henry Logistics. The company was only a few years old and struggling to keep its head above water. I was running a $6 million book of business. One day, my boss comes to me with a number. She says, "This is where I need your sales to be in June." June was only 3 weeks away, and this number was about 2.5 times what my current sales were. The stupidity of it was obvious. I smiled, I nodded, I didn't even try to push back. I was already working 50 to 60 hours a week to maintain my current clients. The only way to bring on new clients at that pace would be to drop prices so low that we would be losing money by the buckets and hire more staff immediately. But neither of those options were on the table. The answer? Time to update that resume. In the meantime, keep my head down and get by. And then a few months later, I went to Amazon. Although Amazon was more structured, those same human elements were still present. In some ways, Amazon leaders felt more savage than some of my Army bosses. In the Army, you simply salute, move out, draw fire. But at Amazon, they create the illusion that you can push back. Amazon leadership principle number 13. Beautiful sentiment, wonderful principle, not hating. The problem is human. The bosses would ramp you up, then demand we hit a certain metric at this shift at all costs. You try to gently push back and explain that there will be casualties. Other metrics will be sacrificed. But that's not acceptable because
I'm gonna go through him like crap through a goose!
Or you'll be on an IDP. Translation?
You're fired.
I would nod my head, full well knowing it wasn't realistic. Then spend an hour and a half after shift writing reports that felt like a technical post-mortem autopsy on what went wrong, causing us to miss a goal that was bullshit to begin with. If you tell your boss it ain't gonna work, then still commit and try your best, no matter how you craft your end-of-shift reports, your boss's human ego is still going to interpret it as, "Ow!" So they gaslight you. This was so easy. You're just lazy. Oh, that's right. You don't have the answer either. If you did, you would have handed me that silver bullet to slay that beast because it would make you look good to your boss.
I'm also going to need you to go ahead and come in on Sunday, too, okay?
The dog-eat-dog cycle continues unceremoniously at each level as everyone protects themselves as best possible. Let's look at the Stanley Milgram experiment.
What would you do if an authority figure asked you to harm another person? In the 1960s, psychologist Stanley Milgram set out to explore this question with his famous obedience experiment. Participants were instructed to administer electric shocks to a learner for incorrect answers. Astonishingly, despite hearing screams of pain, 65% of participants continued to the highest voltage. Why did ordinary people follow orders to inflict harm? This experiment revealed the powerful influence of authority and the extent to which people will go to obey, even against their moral beliefs.
65% went all the way. What's even more disturbing, although not in the video, is that 100% delivered potentially life-threatening voltage before they stopped. Why do we have such a strong bias towards obedience to perceived authority? Like the Soviets, our systems are also built on obedience, not truth. Jump when told, shock when asked, even when it feels wrong. One of the things about being an operations manager at Amazon that bothered me the most was quotas for write-ups. The building boss would set a number, and my end-of-shift reports will include a thorough explanation if my area managers didn't hit that metric. I detest this policy. Technically, it's not supposed to happen, but it most certainly does. As a manager, they can't fire you for missing this metric, but if you miss it, they will simply find another metric to use against you because you are socially non-compliant. To be clear, I deeply believe in standards and accountability. I have no issue giving write-ups or terminating people who are not there working in good faith. And at Amazon, they come a dime a dozen. On a 10-hour shift, I had employees with 3 to 4 hours of time off task that would still squeak by. They knew how to work the HR machine. I was in the restroom. Of course, we can't fire people for going to the restroom.
Oh, wait a minute. So you're going to time me every time I yawn? That's absurd.
Oh, hey, look. Monkey knows how to use a stopwatch, everybody.
It's bad PR. I've stuck with them and held accountable for their shitty performance, while HR tells you,
Aaron, HR is a joke. I can't do anything about anything.
But these write-up quotas were toxic murderers of morale. It forces managers to find reasons to write people up. The problem is, even if they are bad employees, they're still actual humans. They feel threatened.
Wow, who'd have thunk it?
When they get written up, not only is their ego hurt, but their livelihood, rent, bills, spouses, and children all come to mind. Sure, write-ups improve performance for a moment, but excessive write-ups and quotas create significant animosity between employees and management. Despite my distaste for it, you're damn right I did it. Managers are humans too. I'm a single dad of 7 kids. I'm no genius, but my head math works as well. Survival to the system means loyalty to the mask. Although frustrating, we do have to survive. We all make hard choices. In the end, everyone dances, some better than others. We all have individual strengths and weaknesses. I know mine. In my dating life, I never once took a girl dancing, because this honky got no rhythm. Whether it's the building boss pretending to care or an hourly employee, once the paycheck is cut, the care meter also registers a fat goose egg. But while you're there, you are paid to care. And if you're going to take their money, to a large degree you should. 2 big caveats I need to note here. 1, I'm not telling you not to wear the mask. It is necessary for survival in the reality we exist in. I'm not judgmental of it. Sometimes I'm jealous of those who pull it off better than me. I'm simply bringing awareness to it for educational purposes so you can make active, real-time decisions regarding when you have it on versus when you want to show your authentic self. 2, I'm really not trying to bash Amazon or the Army. It's not an Amazon problem, it's a human problem. I'm actually grateful for my time there. Like any sector of society, there are good people and bad people. I learned a lot from both. Nothing helps us learn more than contrast. It is a business, not a charity, and it should function that way. Mostly. One idea I'd love to test would be to pay people as contractors instead of hourly employees. If the average employee stows 2,000 units in 10 hours, just pay them that amount to stow 2,000 units. I'd bet people would figure out how to get it done in 4 to 5 hours instead. Less bathroom breaks. I recognize that Amazon has to function in the current matrix of American society. While there, I saw leaders doing their best to also navigate the system and maintain as much humanity in the process as possible. Like the Army, Amazon does do good. A strong net positive. It funds full bellies and smiles all around the world, from manufacturers in China to employing hundreds of thousands here in the U.S. to deliver any crazy absurdity we want. It literally feeds millions. With real gratitude, thank you, Uncle Jeff, for feeding me and my 7 niños for more than 5 years. Overall, working there was a blessing in my life, and I really do appreciate it. We don't just put these masks on at work, we teach our kids to do it, which brings us to Ralphie.
Rang. Well, what are you gonna do? I don't know. The bell rang.
Now, I know that some of you put Flick up to this. Those who did it know their blame. And I'm sure that the guilt you feel is far worse than any punishment you might receive.
Adults love to say things like that, but kids know better. We knew darn well it was always better not to get caught.
Boom. And there you have it. Even Ralphie knows honesty don't pay. Make no mistake, I'm all about healthy growth, complex problem solving, ambitious but realistic goals. So the question is, how do we really get there? For me, the answer is recognizing the patterns in myself and in how I'm interacting with the outside world. I do not expect to change global societies. Those shift over time all on their own. I can simply look at who I want to be and live that the best I can, enjoying the dance of inevitable paradoxes that will manifest as I learn and adjust little by little. The growth mindset is humble. It removes ego. It does not view things as right or wrong, win or lose, black or white. It views things as experiences to learn from. All of us will experience resistance in life. In fact, it's designed into the system for our benefit. Stop fighting it. I know that growth versus perfection is not new. You've all heard it before. The trick is in the execution. For you and me too, that often means a lot of redundancy. I'm just a normal human with average intelligence. The only edge I have is in having a willingness to be wrong, which, let's be honest, I didn't come up with either. I stole from others, the collective consciousness. I learned along the way in the army, at Amazon, and even via social media. And these concepts don't just work at work. They work in the most important aspects of our lives, relationships. After my divorce, I hit the dating world, and I was awkward as hell. I had recently left a lifetime of Mormonism, and I had never really experienced... Now, initially, I sucked at it, but I kept trying. I watched way too many hours of TikTok dating experts trying to figure out the mystery of women that I clearly missed in the last few years of my marriage. My favorite piece of advice that I absorbed and worked really hard to implement:
make a list of the things that are truly important for you to find in a partner, and then be that list.
After my first girlfriend dumped me, I learned about attachment styles, masculine versus feminine energy, my own insecurities, letting go of expectations, and understanding how to set boundaries that I had previously struggled with, and the balance of all of it. Dating lots of women and experiencing new things helped me learn and refine what I was looking for in a partner and how I wanted to show up myself. I did enjoy the dating world, but now I really haven't dated in a while. It just hasn't appealed to me. I'd rather work on my own stuff, for now. Maybe it's narcissistic, but as I became more of the things on that list, I fell in love with myself. Applying these growth mindset principles in my dating life changed everything for me. I already did some war stories for the guys, so now I'm going to do a sappy female example for the ladies. The quintessential Miss Elizabeth Bennet. I was married for 19 years. Of course, I've seen Pride and Prejudice more times than I can count. I already told you I struggled with boundaries.
Cut me some slack, Jack.
The reason it's a classic is because it has amazing character development, a growth mindset. We all share the ego, pride-driven character flaws of Lizzie and Darcy. At first, she judges Darcy as arrogant and unforgivable. It's small at first.
You're taking all the caviar? That caviar is a garnish.
Then, the big rejection.
I have every reason in the world to think ill of you.
As if you really knew me.
If I really knew you, I know what I would find. Instead of a brain, a cash register. Instead of a heart, a bottom line.
Meanwhile, she's being seduced by the charming and debonair Mr. Wickham. When she reads Darcy's letter and later sees the truth about Wickham, she is accountable and owns her misjudgment. Open to new information, she doesn't stay rigid in her assumptions. Her pride is wounded, but instead of denying the truth, she allows it to reshape her perspective. She questions her own biases and realizes that her judgments were based more on emotion than evidence. Instead of defending her past action, she grows more introspective and thoughtful. She learns to value character over appearances. She comes to understand the importance of humility, integrity, and quiet generosity, qualities Darcy actually possessed all along that she ignored while she was getting seduced by the charms of another Gaston.
Look there, he goes, isn't he dreaming?
Darcy also shows a strong growth mindset. He takes harsh criticism without defensiveness. Lizzie's initial rejection is a swift kick in the nuts, not just romantically, but morally.
From the first moment I met you, your arrogance and conceit, your selfish disdain for the feelings of others made me realize that you were the last man in the world I could ever be prevailed upon to marry.
Instead of simply dismissing her accusations of pride and poor behavior, he takes them seriously and reflects on how he comes across to others. He adapts his behavior, not just to appear right, but to be better. He actively tries to become more considerate, more open, more respectful.
And your parents are in good health? And all your sisters?
Yes.
Initially, he believes Lizzie is beneath him,
Could you expect me to rejoice in the inferiority of your connections?
but he changes as he sees her strength and integrity. He has to reinforce and better embody his pre-existing belief that true worth is not based on wealth or status. Neither Elizabeth nor Darcy are perfect. They're both proud, judgmental, and deeply flawed, normal humans. But they learn from each other, admit mistakes, and change their behavior. Their story is about evolving and letting go of ego, not fantasy or denial. They don't fall in love with each other's perfection. They fall in love with each other's growth, their willingness to be wrong, to learn. Leveling up. It's an absolute masterclass in self-awareness, open-mindedness, and emotional maturity. These same elements of harsh black and white judgments still plague the dating world today. So if you're in the contentious side of the debate of us versus them, red pill men versus entitled women, maybe try a date night with Pride and Prejudice and consider your own flawed biases that are repelling real love in your life. And now that I've lost all my street cred with all my old army buddies, I need to move on. It was just an analysis of Pride and Prejudice. I didn't say I liked it. We all like to believe that we're good at self-reflection, but in reality, human nature is prone to pass the buck. We view ourselves as all good, right, and justified, and others as all bad. We cherry-pick data points off of social media to reinforce this.
You're not responsible for how others decide to treat you.
If someone is being nasty to you, yes, it's a reflection of them. Obviously, you struck a nerve. Maybe it is their problem, insecurities or misplaced anger. Their shitty reaction certainly is, but out-of-context clips like this make us feel perfect and empowered to shift all the blame onto others instead of considering our own piece of the pie. I recognize that this is a bit unfair to poor Jay. I'm actually a fan. In greater context, he's actually really big on self-reflection. He was discussing boundaries, not a growth mindset. Great guy. The next time someone treats you badly, I recommend you take that trigger warning and view it as an opportunity to learn and grow. Slow things down. Step 1, reflect on what you contributed to the dynamic. If they're not a perfect stranger and your answer is nothing, go back to step 1. Step 2, get curious about their perspective. Curiosity is another principle of abundance. That video is coming soon. Not long ago, a close family member of mine was heading out on a Mormon mission. She told me, "I hope I don't get a crappy companion." I replied, "I hope you're not the crappy companion." We laughed, but as humans, we always want to think it's the other guy. But there are only 2 people in a bad relationship. Odds are 50-50, you're it. One last manly story to redeem myself. But before I do, let's look at the Monopoly study.
We brought strangers into the lab in pairs of 2. With the flip of a coin determined who was going to be a rich player and who was going to be the poor player. The rich player got 2 times as much money to play the game. They got to roll both dice instead of one. And the inequality is almost immediately apparent to the players. How couldn't it be? But within a couple of minutes, dynamics start to crystallize.
How many 500s did you have?
Just 1.
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I have 3.
And the rich player started to behave a little differently. Rich players become more dominant. Rich players eat more pretzels. When moving their piece around the board, they become louder. They start smacking the board with their piece. And the rich players were significantly ruder. They were far more likely to showcase and talk about how well they're doing and to belittle the plight of those poor players. So they became less compassionate.
Yes, and I'm buying it.
And these are patterns that we're observing consistently over hundreds of different individuals.
You're gonna run out of money soon.
You see people who are winning because of the flip of a coin start to act as if they actually deserve to win. One of the questions we ask is, why did you win the game? And you could imagine that rich players would say, well, I won the game because of that flip of the coin. I had 2 times the advantage. But none, not one of the rich players attributed their inevitable success in this game to that force of luck that randomly got them that privileged position in the first place.
A few months back when I was in Koshrai, I got a text from one of my high school age boys. He said he got in a fight. I immediately run over to the neighbors to get some good Wi-Fi because, you know, I'm dad. I get him on the phone and I'm like,
"Talk to me, Goose."
He was all excited and gave me the play-by-play. There he was, walking with his friends during PE, minding his own business. And out of nowhere, this black kid walks up to him and starts swinging. My boy takes a glancing blow, but he comes back, throws a few himself, and the clown is down. He won his first fight. His pride was obvious, as was mine. Somebody starts throwing hands, and there he is, my mini-me, taking care of business. But after hearing the story, I asked, so why did the kid attack you again? And my boy's like, I don't know, I didn't do anything. I'm like, bullshit? There's no way some kid randomly singles you out from all your friends and then... It reminded me of when my doctor brother, total nerd, was working at a busy urban ER. Lots of gunshot wounds. He would tell me how frequently he would hear stories that went like, there I was, sitting on my porch, minding my own business, reading my Bible, when gunshots ranged out like a bell. Anyhow, back to my boy. He knows that I know there's more to it. He's a good kid, and he starts to tell me how he and his friends had made some jokes about the other kid, meaning they were talking shit. And then the other kid eventually came for his.
Sir, I demand satisfaction.
My boy's a fairly liberal-minded kid. He's no racist.
Kick his ass, Seabass!
But teenage boys and all their testosterone-driven bravado tend to be dumb teenage boys. I'm certain my boy was guilty of that, and I called him on it. In my eyes, he took a big step into manhood that day. Not because he won the fight, but because he was an honest broker with me for the rest of the conversation. As I asked more about the lead up to the fight, he owned his shit. He reflected and made adjustments to his perspectives and the confirmation biases that he and his friends had built up. We talked for a good while about how it started small with nothing more than some stupid mean-mugging looks between him and his buddies. Instead of appreciating the kid's pride in being from the streets, they mocked it. But that's part of his core identity. For him, that's survival. And you guys belittled that. Then you feign surprise when he wants to scrap? We also discussed the fact that my boy is a social bug and does well with the popular kids in a predominantly white high school on the nice side of town, i.e. the right side of the train tracks. Of course the other kid is going to struggle to fit in, whereas it's easy for my pasty little squirt. He was able to draw the links between his behavior and the political environment where those who have perceived power and control beat down those beneath them simply because they can, and winning feels good. We discussed the need for someone in an elevated position to use their influence to help others, befriend them, see them, understand them, not provoke them. Because it's a hard knock life for him. I challenged him how to figure out how to make amends with this kid and bring him into the friend group. He acknowledged respect and admiration for the balls on that kid to come swinging on a whole group of privileged white boys. Although I was proud that he won the fight, I told him that he better learn his lesson, because I hope that kid learns how to fight, and next time he comes into it, I hope he gives him the old razzle-dazzle 1-2 knockout punch with no biscuit. Because in the end, I'm more interested in my kid's real growth. Sometimes growth means that we all have to choke down a humble spoonful of whoop-ass. Because success is a lousy teacher. The more we reflect and recognize our own patterns and capacity for confirmation bias, the better we'll be at catching it in real time, extending grace and compassion to others and connecting with them. Like me, most of us are pretty damn normal, and we're not as awesome as we think. But here's the paradox. The more we lean into challenging, growth-oriented experiences, the more we experience, until we fully learn the lesson. It's not about changing the world around us. It's about changing ourselves first. So Ralphie didn't blow up Chernobyl, but he did teach us the rule. Don't get caught. That's the mask, that's the system, but it doesn't have to be our future. We're moving into a world of exponential technological growth. Let's do our best to keep up in the human aspects of our lives. Even though Legasov called out the social issues that led to Chernobyl,
the testimony in Vienna was a lie.
His criticisms fell on deaf ears. He was socially isolated. 2 years and 1 day after the explosion, he was found hanging in the well of his apartment complex. His health was poor. Suffering from his exposure to radiation, he removed himself from the system. Probably. Meanwhile, some of the leaders who were responsible for the disaster moved on to run other nuclear facilities. Who had a more abundant life? Hard to say, but nobody wrote HBO's series on any of them. Recognize the masks that we all wear in the matrix of life, and then choose when to take it off.
But choose wisely.
When you stand up and shine,
You can do it, Brucey!
others will join you. Don't just watch movies about the fabled light on the hill. Recognize, reflect, analyze, push back when needed, and be the light on the hill. If you're struggling to find answers in your life, open your phone and steal some ideas from others. You have the tools. Use them. Stop self-imposing rules on yourself that are not working in your life. If you ain't cheating, you ain't trying. By changing ourselves, we reshape future generations and leave things just a little bit better. And that's a fight worth fighting.